like to welcome y'all to the mayoral debate. I want to thank y'all for coming out. I want to thank each of our candidates for coming out. I'm going to introduce each one of them to you. We have Harold Kimbrell, Aaron Brewer, Jerry Wilkins, and Bobby Halford. We really appreciate them coming out and doing this community event and answering these questions for us. Also, I'd like to thank the Rotary Club committee that put together everything, brought all the desserts. I want to thank Vanessa and Leslie and Janie Woolley for helping me with all of that. So thank them for that. I'm going to give you the format of what we're doing. I'm going to give each one of them 2 minutes to just give their opening statement, and then we've received a lot of questions from the community, and I want to thank you all for that. And what we saw was there were a lot of people who had the same questions, and so we're gonna ask those questions. Each candidate will get 1 minute to answer each question, and then at the end we'll give them another 2 minutes to have a closing statement. And then after the debate is over, we have desserts in here, and we'll have an opportunity for you to visit one-on-one with them if you have questions. We do ask you that you stay quiet so that everybody can hear the questions that are being presented, and thank you all for coming out. So. Harold, go ahead.
I'm going to stand up because I don't talk good sitting, maybe. Most of y'all say I do talk. But anyway, I'm Harold Porky Kimbrell. I moved to Booneville in 5th grade. I was short, fat, and had little ears. They thought I looked like Porky Pig, and I agreed with them. Most of the people here in Booneville, that's the only way they know me, so it's on the ballot that way. But I'm a graduate of Booneville High School in 1969. I got a 2-year degree from West Ark in 78. I was student body president at West Ark Community College in 71. I worked with David Pryor on Project 1821, which was getting 18-year-olds registered to vote in federal elections, and we worked to get the state to pass it. We could do it in state also. I've worked hard all my life. I've worked construction, sales, and I believe it's time for a change. Nothing against Jerry, but I'd like to be your next mayor.
My name is Aaron Brewer, and I've got a prepared speech that I want to go over. I believe Booneville needs a mayor with boldness, someone decisive, legalistic, someone who is interested in the citizens, their families, and cares about what they have to say, someone who works in Booneville to secure its future, someone dedicated to ensuring Booneville becomes a more progressive city with a healthy economic anchor, greater educational opportunities, new industry, a place our kids will return to because it can sustain their dreams. I am that someone. I grew up in Booneville like many of you. I remember it being greater then as opposed to now. Clean streets, clean houses, pride in ownership, and within our neighborhoods. I do have 2 businesses in Booneville, so my stake in our success is great as well. While I seek a partnership with you as the city begins to transform, realize that I alone am willing and intend to jumpstart this process of revitalization. I will be progressive in leading our police officers to rouse drugs and dealers from the streets. I have no tolerance for them. I learned many things while out there in the world as a federal agent, and since I've been back here, I pursued more education through the Arkansas Municipal League. I have learned from them about programs and venues that will enrich Booneville. I work diligently as your city councilman to ensure that our city ordinances are up to date, that our city employees have job descriptions. These are now tools that are available and are all within our favor to provide Booneville and its citizens with a refreshed progressive vision for Booneville, our good hometown. I'm your voice for change and would appreciate your vote and support in November. Thank you.
Okay, I am the incumbent mayor. I've been here since 2002. I've done 4 terms. I'm in my 4th term. I have, through the years, just about seen it all. From getting the hospital gave to me, back to me, from a contractor in the first 2 weeks to seeing Cargill burn to trying to find more jobs, re-equip a police department and a city hall. And if we are, I've just, through the years, it's just been one thing right after another. And we have come a long ways. I think we're doing a great job. I think every day gets a little bit better. Our sales tax keeps coming up, so the economy's getting a little bit better. And trying to sustain our population is a real struggle because small towns that don't have minority jobs have trouble keeping their population. We dropped 100 people in the last probably 15 or 20 years, and that's really great that we were able to hold the population around 4,000. So I think I am the best candidate to lead us into the future because of my experience, because I think experience is the #1 tool in being mayor. Thank you.
My name's Bobby Halford. I grew up here in the town of Booneville, married my high school sweetheart, raised my family here. I believe I'm the only candidate that can stand here today and tell you I've lived 54 years inside the city limits of Booneville, Arkansas, and I am 54 years old. I want to make Booneville a cleaner, safer, better place to call home.
Okay, the first question that we have, if you were elected mayor, how would you manage your current job along with the duties of mayor?
Well, I'm self-employed, sell watermelons, sell an old car once in a while. I'd manage it after hours, and I would have City Hall open from 1 to 5 on Sundays, the first Sunday of every month for those people who work during the week. But I would be working at least 50 hours a week for the city of Booneville.
I too am self-employed, even though I have 2 businesses in Booneville. I can at any time walk away and go down there to the city hall and take care of what needs to be done. I continue to do that today. I have people walk into my office, want to talk to me. We sit down and we discuss things. I'll go down to city hall and talk to the clerk or find Jerry and talk to him about it. I don't have any time constraints as far as being available to respond to anything that needs to be responded to. I can adjust my schedule at any time to take care of things that need to be done. I'm willing to work at night. I used to do that for years, so I don't have any problem doing my job as mayor of Boone.
Okay, that's a really simple question for me because I've been doing it this way for almost 16 years. So I'm with the Roberts Funeral Home, and the mayor's job is, I think, listed as a part-time job, but it's really not that much part-time. You'll do 40 hours a week without any problem. And I've been able to do that. I've been able to get there. I've been able to get the job done in 16 years, and I have no reason that I can't continue to do that if I'm elected mayor.
Miss Rylick asked me this question the other day at the Rotary Club meeting, and I told her, I said, well, I'd love to work for UPS for 2 more years. Now let me back that up just a little bit. My employment with UPS is determined by the end of this election. I'll say that.
Aaron, you'll start the next question. The second question, 1 cent sales tax will come up for renewal during the next mayoral term. What changes would you propose to the sales tax and why?
I don't see any reason why the 1 cent sales tax shouldn't continue as it is. It's continuing to support Booneville. As far as I know, there doesn't need to be any adjustments made to that.
Okay, the last time we did the sales tax, we made some adjustments. I think we raised the senior center up to 10% to give them a little more money, and raised the police department up to 22% to give them a little more money. And that sales tax that you people are kind enough to vote it in, and the last time it won like 95-2 or something, is the livelihood of our community. If we do not have that, we're going to have a major problem surviving. And I wouldn't change anything right now as it is. I think the sales tax is set up very good for the people of Booneville.
I would like to say I'd take a look at the sales tax and make sure everybody's being allocated appropriately for what they need. If they have any excess at all, maybe we could move that to a different area or do something with that money, something different with that money. But as it is right now, I have to admit, Jerry worked hard to get that sales tax reallocated.
I think there's been a lot of consideration into where the tax goes and what it does. But the only thing I'd like to see is, I'd like to see that we might be able to get a little more money, a little more done out of where it's going, and make it a little more efficient.
Third question. What is your opinion regarding alcohol being sold and or served openly within the city limits of Booneville?
My opinion on alcohol, I do not drink, so you probably know my opinion on alcohol. And sold openly, I'm totally against that. Sold in the city of Booneville, I'm totally against that. But, you know, there is people that say that we need to sell alcohol, maybe in package stores, to get the sales tax out of it. But usually when you sell alcohol, the problems come with it, and they usually eat up that small amount of sales tax you get out of it with more police problems and what have you. So I am against selling alcohol.
It's a tough question. I'm opposed to going into a restaurant in Booneville, Arkansas and being able to buy alcohol. The people who are going to drink, they're going to drive over to the north side and get it. We're losing out on the tax dollars. Would I vote for alcohol in the city of Booneville? No. But we are losing revenue to the north side, Arcota and Nubbin Ridge. And that money is money that the citizens of Booneville could use. We could do more with.
Well, I'm opposed to selling alcohol in Booneville, but I think that what I'm against is not what we're talking about here. I think it should be put on the ballot and let the people of Booneville decide whether they want it or not. Because me, I mean, I wouldn't drink enough to make anybody any money, you know. But, you know, we've got 4,000 people living in Booneville, 2,000 of them registered to vote. I think it should be put up to them whether they want it or not.
I've had a lot of people ask me about this over the past few months, and my feelings on this are, along with what Porky has said, the people are interested in considering it at this time. It's not something that I do, so personally I'm opposed to drinking. I don't do it. But I think that Booneville needs an opportunity to speak as a community collectively, to make a decision on how they feel collectively about that. There's a lot of revenue that is lost, and it's only a few miles up the road over here at Nubbin Ridge. That's where most of the people go. At this point in time, though, I'd really like to defer that to the people to decide eventually. Thank you.
Bobby, what is your plan to bring new jobs to Booneville?
Today's kids, DPM, I worked at DPM for 6 years. Hated to see that on an Easter Sunday at Burn. To bring businesses to Booneville, do you think the Booneville's workforce could support Today's Kids program right now? I don't think so. I want to try to encourage businesses to come to Booneville that employ for anywhere from 50 to 100 people. I was at Walmart the other night. A young man and young woman was waiting on me to get my card out, and I gave them my card, and I thought, where are these folks from? And I turned and looked, and I said, where are you folks from? They said, Waldron. They're coming to Booneville to shop. if you have the businesses in Booneville, people are gonna come to Booneville and spend their money, and I like that.
Well, I agree that we don't have a sufficient workforce or a drug-free workforce for a big factory or something. But I think we could do things like the old hospital out there, maybe put a VA home in it, or a foster home for kids, or maybe even talk a corporation from Denver somewhere, a small corporation, and putting corporate offices here. But to do that, we're gonna have to clean up our city. We're gonna have to do something about the druggies walking around and things like that. So, there's a lot you can do. You could get a lot of retired people to move here if you made it presentable where they liked it.
There are already steps being taken to bring business to Booneville. I understand the hospital is being considered for a workforce development center. In other words, they will start training locals, us, to do the work that these businesses are looking for. They won't have to import people to run their factories. I have been working lately trying to get mountain bike trails started back through the south in the Ouachita Mountains. That's a whole industry in and of itself. The people that buy those bikes and ride them on those trails spend $2,000. And if we can get them into the area, we've opened up the recreational opportunities within the county, as well as sporting goods stores and repair shops and stuff for stuff like that. But businesses need to know that Booneville's clean. They send those front people out here. They look to find out if this city is clean, for starters.
Anyway, you know, we always ask about jobs, and you walk down the street and people look at you and say, Mayor, when are we going to get some jobs? And you go to Rockline, where can I find 25 people? You go to the Development Center, where can I find 8 or 10 people? So, you know, we need to really put our attention on retaining the jobs we've got, you know, since we have some good jobs. And yes, I don't think we could do a workforce. They wonder why General Motors goes to a place in the eastern part of the state. Why? They got a 9% unemployment rate. There's nobody going to come here probably with a 4% unemployment rate because they can't do their business. They can't staff their operations. So sustaining the ones we've got some good small businesses. Helping them any way we can would be very helpful.
Booneville Municipal Airport is a vital part of our community, bringing in jobs and has a national customer base that infuses thousands of dollars into our local economy. What is your plan for continued improvements for the airport?
Well, I'd want to look at how they've improved in the past and get with the person that's running it and find out what he needs. And I want to see if there was a way we could get federal money to help improve it. And I think with Trump being in deal for 2 more years, he's going to have a lot of infrastructure money for us to do our airports, our city streets and things like that. And I want to be working real hard on getting some of that money from him.
A lot of people don't realize Booneville Airport is recognized across the country as one of the most efficiently run and well-executed airports within the entire area. People fly into Booneville simply because they know that Bill Tucker's out there and he's running a good shop. I've been discussing at one point with people at the airport, they need to have, I think, some of the tax money turned back to them that they dedicated to the city at one point in time. If they get that, then I think that they can maybe look at some improvements out there. I don't know what improvements they need, to tell you the truth, because they haven't told me anything about that. They just said that they were interested in trying to get some of the money back that had been diverted at one point in time.
Okay, when I got to be mayor, we, of course, we have a volunteer board at the airport. Dr. Wyatt does a wonderful job. Bill Tucker does a wonderful job. He brings a lot of people in to do service on their airplanes. We've been able to build 2 hangars in the last 15 years by grant money, which is good grant money through the aeronautics board. And that was my way. The more we get those hangars paid for, the more we get their rental areas and make the airport more self-sufficient in case there is not any money to keep it open someday.
I'm right here, Jerry. I'd like to take a look at our airport and find out how the money is being spent. As far as property and land that is on the north side of the airport, I talked to Dan Smith out there here a few weeks ago, and I asked him, I said, how come we don't have hangars on the north side going down the fence road? And he said, well, Bobby, he said, you know, we do what we can with what we have. And I said, well, I understand that. Is there room for improvement? Yes, I'm sure there is. But like they said earlier, the Bill Tucker does an excellent job out there, and so does Dr. Wilder. I am interested in what they rent for, how much square footage space that we have, and how much of it is being utilized.
What ideas do you have to deal with the drug problem in town?
I'm a retired federal agent. I spent 32 years doing something to do with narcotics invariably. I intend to make sure that the police department has the resources they need, they have the direction that they need in order to attend to those drug dealers that are out there. We need those people pulled off the street. We need to stop them, absolutely. I would be in favor of getting a canine. I think that a canine dedicated to Booneville alone, based upon the way, the legalistic way that a canine works with drugs and stuff, when they smell it, that's probable cause to go ahead and search and start running that stuff out. And I would be very, very aggressive as far as supporting the police department, not aggressive, progressive, as far as supporting the police department in getting these people moved out of Booneville or in jail, period.
Well, I think the police department does an excellent job of taking these people, we pick them up, we put them in jail, we give them a court date, or we take them to court. But there is nowhere to treat anybody. There is no treatment. If you call today for a bed to treat somebody, it might take you 4 months to get one. Eventually, the court system turns them loose because it's a rotating, it rotates from one person to the other. We've had people that's been in jail 8 or 10 times, but there's nowhere to put them. So till we get a treatment center to help these people and rehab these people, we have got a problem, because I don't think it's totally the police department or the court system. I just don't think there's anywhere to treat them at. It's just a real shortage.
How come we can't take part of that 1 cent sales tax, fix part of the hospital out here and treat them out here? You know, Jerry's right in the respect that we can arrest them over and over and over, but they have to receive treatment. They've got to be cared for, or it's just going to continue. It's a cycle. You see it day after day. It's the same ones you see every time you see it.
Well, we do have a major drug problem, but it's not just in Booneville, Arkansas. I traveled for Vital Inc. for about 8 years. It's in every small town I was in. But I think we need to do a better job of educating our children at school, the effect of drugs. And I think we need, like Jerry said, have some treatment centers for them. And then I think a 3-strike rule and you're out. Help them 3 times, and if they don't help themselves, well then, you know, ship them off to jail or wherever they got to go.
Jerry, what ideas do you have that will help with cleaning up some of the residential areas in town?
Of course, in 15 plus years, I've probably sent more cleanup letters, condemned more houses than all of the mayors that's ever been at Booneville. It's just a problem, you know. If you don't know what your yard's supposed to look like when you go there, you probably are not going to be able to mow it. You're fine. Anyway, it's a real problem, you know. In fact, I sent 4 or 5 today, and condemning houses, you know, you can condemn those houses, and then you want to make the people tear them down, but they don't have the money. Half the people that have the houses can't buy a good meal for their family sometimes, so it's left up to the city to tear them down. At $4,500 a house, you got to take that money from somewhere else, some other agency. So it's really a very, very complicated. A block grant from the federal government would be great to tear these houses down. It'd help us out. All towns need this.
Spoke with Mr. Tom Davis out here, where we're at. Okay, P&P Western Wear. On the south side of P&P Western Wear, there's a house. Has no windows, no door on the front. It's growed up. He said, Bobby, he said, can we get our fire department to come and help us with this? He said, can they use it as training? I know the EPA has standards and things that they have to have in place to keep from burning everything. Some of it's toxic. But the parts that we can, let's do that. And I asked Tom Davis, I said, Tom, I want to tell you something. If we can get this done, I said, if we can help you clean this up, I said, you got to promise me you'll keep it clean and mowed. He said, I will, Bobby.
Well, if I'm elected mayor, I'd like to appoint a committee of about 5 people to just study this, of concerned citizens here in town. And if the people can't afford to fix it, let's have some kind of fundraiser to help them fix it. If it can't be fixed, then maybe we have a fundraiser that takes 6 months to get the $4,500 down. But the churches are doing some things, other groups are doing things, but I don't want to be the one that goes out there and tells these people, hey, it's got to go down. I want it to be a 5 or 6 person committee that has studied it and is fair to everybody. I don't want them just to say, fix it.
Our city ordinances were revamped last year in order to address remuneration to the city when they have to step in and take care of these properties. There is a way for the city to recoup the money for wages that are paid to city employees and equipment that is used. I believe that we need to step in and start pushing these houses and moving them out because that's what the people want. You've got an issue that has to do with sanitation and sickness. Rodents that live in this, the water that collects for mosquitoes, as well as the appearance. And the schools that I went to be certified as a municipal official taught us that there are 950 grants available statewide that address different issues. Those grants need to be tapped into and used by the city in order to start cleaning it up and taking care of the problem that we're faced with.
Bobby, what can you do to help continue the revitalization of downtown Booneville?
Just keep supporting what's going on right now. I love the murals. I love the plants downtown. I see the guy painting the street lights, and I like that. You know, October days is just around the corner. It's going to draw a lot of people to downtown, and they're going to see what's going on. It's contagious, and I want to keep that going.
They have done quite a bit. I'd like to see it expanded more past maybe some of the downtown areas and continue with it. But, I want to look at, like they said, about getting the grants to do these things.
When I was in one of those classes, Hot Springs came up and discussed the way they revitalized downtown Hot Springs. The fire department came in there and established standards for those buildings downtown. They inspected and they made up a work plan on how to fix those buildings so that they could then meet the minimum state standard requirements, and then they repurposed the buildings. I don't see anything wrong with that approach. I'd like to study that more. If I'm elected, I would be really looking closely at what they have done to see how we can continue to perk up Booneville. There's a lot that's been done, and I entirely support everything that's been done down there. But I just know that we need to get the money in order to get it done, and that's my approach to that.
Okay, the revitalization downtown, this revitalization committee has done a wonderful job, but they're getting short on funds. They've used a lot of it, so the painting of the street lights, we took some the city improvement money. We hired this gentleman by the name of Handy, paid him $25 a light. The problem is a lot of towns have 10 or 12 lights. We have 69. So it gets expensive, but it is looking better downtown. I think we're fortunate. We have a lot of buildings that do have something in them. When you go to other towns, it looks more like a ghost town. I think the downtown businesses in the downtown looks really good. There's always room for improvement. You can't stop or somebody will catch you, so you got to keep going.
What kind of experience do you have with grant writing? What kind of experience do you have with grant writing?
I don't have any experience personally doing it myself, other than I've been in deals where, like the Project 18 through 21, I was with Dave Fire. They had grant money for that. I haven't wrote any myself. I intend to check with a gentleman over in Edge, Oklahoma. I sold a car to last summer that wrote most of the grants for police departments in eastern Oklahoma. And sit down with him. I've talked with the lady at the chamber down there about the grants, and I intend to pursue that. I noticed where in the paper she had been in on a class and is working hard at it. And I'm going to work with people that have done it and educate myself on it too.
I think the city needs to employ somebody that will write grants for the city. They do have a place called the Grant Store that's funded through the state that will allow one municipal official to be registered through their system. When you write a grant and you submit it, they will proofread it for you, they will check, they'll give you go-bys, they'll send it back to that person so they have something to follow in order to write effective grants that can be passed within the first or second try. I know they're hard to get through. I personally don't have any experience writing grants. I've written a lot of things, but I'd be willing to have somebody hired by the city that will do grant writing for the city specifically.
Okay, Susan at the chamber has took some interest in the grant writing, and she's been to some classes. It's very complicated, but there is grant money out there. When I first got to be mayor, you know, you'd have a 20% matching on grant. Now it's all the way up to 50-50. So you have to come up with some money, but a lot of times you can get a grant wrote. There's a 10% writer fee in there that you can collect, but grants are getting very difficult to come by, but there is some out there, but they are going to be 50-50. So the 2080 was great, but 50-50s, there's still some grants out there we could write for.
I don't have any experience of writing grants, but I spoke with Ms. Bolger this morning, and she's very excited about applying and writing for other grants here in the city of Booneville. There's several that she mentioned that Booneville needs to take advantage of.
Aaron, what experience do you have working with the Chamber of Commerce and local civic clubs?
I'm currently the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Last year I was the vice president. I work with Rotary. I'm a member of Kiwanis. I also am a volunteer for 4-H shooting sports as an archery coach and a rifle coach. I'm pretty much available for anything that'll keep me out of the house and busy outside somewhere else. Thank you.
Okay, I've been a member of a lot of the organizations. Right now, I'm not a member of very many of them. I was president of the Chamber of Commerce one of the first 5 years I was in office, and we've been through, the Chamber has been through some hard times. I think we may be getting back on some better ground now, but the Chamber can be very helpful. And these organizations, because, you know, in 2014, we were the Volunteer Community of the Year, thanks to Vanessa Wyrick and her hard work, and you cannot survive in a small town without organizations and volunteers, because you just do not have the funds to do it.
I honestly have never had the time to be a member of a club here in Booneville, Arkansas. I've lived here 54 years, and I apologize, I'm not a member of Rotary or Kiwanis or Chamber of Commerce or any of them. I've been too busy working and supporting my family, but I would like for that to change.
I haven't been a member of any of the clubs here in Booneville, but I dang sure supported them with a lot of money whenever they were doing some kind of fundraiser or something, you know. I was helping them sell it or buying it for myself or friends, and I think that these clubs are great. They're doing a lot of things. The churches have got clubs they're doing. I was talking to Barnydale Parker this morning, the Methodist church here goes out or I don't know how often, goes out and helps people in other towns. I think maybe we could get some of these churches to help us a little more here in this town instead of going 500 miles, 2,000 miles away. But I will support the clubs, and they are doing a good job there.
Jerry, how would you support the police department?
Well, when I first got to be mayor, I walked in the door with one police car and possibly two that would run part of the time. So I've been a great supporter. You know, it's hard to ask somebody to go out and risk their life if you don't put some kind of equipment or support them with a good equipment. So we have probably today and this time the best equipped, best educated police department, even with 6 new vehicles that we've ever had in the city of Booneville. And so I'm a great supporter of the police department. They do a great job.
I would support our police department 200%. More training, more visibility. We need it. We have to have it as a community. I want the people of Booneville, Arkansas to feel comfortable approaching our officers. I want our officers to feel comfortable going out into our community. I know my son stated that Greenwood has a night out where everyone in the community can go to the park, meet all the officers, the chief of police, the mayor, and see what's going on in our police department. And I think that's a great idea. I think we need to do something like that with our police department. But I support them 200%.
Well, if I remember correctly, my little brother was working in the police department here in Booneville when Jerry come as mayor, and we've got a lot more equipment, we've got a lot more training, and I'd like to see that continued. But one thing I'd really like to see us focus a little more on is some more training for our officers and our school together before something happens that's happened somewhere else. I feel like I was up to high school a week or so ago. I walked right in to the office now. Now, I wasn't no threat, but what if that kid that was out here last week had been up there? We need to do more in protecting our kids.
I support the police department in every way. I was a police officer here before I went federal for almost 10 months. I know what they do. I know what they can do. And I would be more supportive of them getting out so that they're more visible in the public. As far as equipment, they are very well equipped, but I would still like to see a canine provided to an officer so that we have that as an additional tool in our fight against drugs. I am not opposed to using every law enforcement means possible to get drugs out of Booneville and off the streets. I don't think we should have it sole Booneville Police Department working in Booneville without anybody else helping out. I would be encouraging the chief and the officers to work with other agencies. It's always been in the federal realm, multi-agency task force does better than just a single agency on their own trying to do this. So I would be very encouraging of them working with other agencies as well.
Bobby, what is your plan for improving our park system?
Our park system. Here we go. I would love to see Thursdays and Fridays in Booneville, Arkansas as mowing days. Our cemetery and our parks, Marcel Phillips Parks and Veterans Park too, on Thursdays and Fridays, simply because on the weekends, the kids bring the grandkids back to Booneville to see Grandma and Grandpa, aunts and uncles. That's when our company comes to town. I want Booneville looking its very best on Friday evening. Saturday morning, if they want to take little Johnny or Susie and go down to the park, they can go down there and they can play at the park. I want to see better playground equipment, more playground equipment on our city parks. There's not very much playground equipment at Veterans Park right now, but I'd like to see that change. We have a canopy down there. We have one at Marcel Phillips Park. I'd like to see those utilized a little more. Been driving quite a few times by the places and through the places.
Well, I'd like to see maybe a few more activities in the parks after school, on weekends, things for our kids to give them something to do to stay off of drugs. Just use them more and see if we can have some fundraisers or some grants or something to add things to the park that the people use. I know Van Buren's got one of them little water park deals. They just spray water all over people. That stays pretty busy.
As young as they come to as old as they are, there need to be activities at the park for all ages. And that said, the complaints that I hear about the most are the conditions that exist out there right now. You can't go to the bathroom because they have those locked up because they get torn up. You can't play the basketball course because there's weeds growing up all around through there. The pool has issues with lights. Those things need to be addressed, and I think that a more aggressive law enforcement aspect to that, or cameras. They've talked about putting a camera out there to try to catch people that tear these things up. A lot of people have talked to me about a splash pad, and I did go to those schools down there, and there were 4 companies that do put equipment into parks and stuff. It costs a lot of money, but you fall back to the grants then. And I don't mind putting stuff in that park to address those things.
All right, the parks, you know, we are in the process. We have 2 bridges. We're tying Marcel Phillips, which the middle park is going to be called Rainy Park. So we probably have more park acreage than most bigger towns. And we're just days away from having a certified disc golf course. I'm waiting on the goals. So we just have to add a little bit as we can. The walkways between the parks, we're just waiting on bids to tie them together. And but I think you just have, park equipment is so expensive that you're able to buy a little bit at a time, and I do agree we need more park equipment. So we'll continue to look for grants. We'll continue to try to upgrade as the money becomes available.
Harold, this is the last question. So, the city has always been a strong supporter of the Boys and Girls Club. As mayor, how would you foster this relationship?
Well, I would continue what's been done in the past and look at how we can add to it. But I don't want to raise taxes. I want us to get more efficient use out of the tax money we're using in ways. And encouraging the Boys and Girls Club, that's one of the activities that they're using after school to keep kids off drugs and all that, and that's one of the things that I'd like to see us do more of here in Booneville. So maybe even get some volunteers that just do things that doesn't cost money to help the kids, maybe some more mentors to them, things like this.
If it's a question of money and the Boys Club needs more of it, I believe that if I were elected mayor, I would take a strong look at that budget to see if anything could be adjusted to support them more. I believe the Boys Club does, as Porky said, they do a lot to keep those kids occupied, away from drugs. It's almost turned into, I guess, a babysitting service, but it's important for the community, for those kids to have a place to go that's safe, that they can have fun, that they can get some of that energy out of them. So I would continue to support and look for more ways to support the Boys Club.
Okay, when I got to be mayor, we didn't, I don't believe we were making a donation to the Boys and Girls Club, and that's one of the first things I did was to donate $1,500 out of the city improvement every month goes to the Boys and Girls Club. Rick does a wonderful job up there, and they're always needing money. They're always needing volunteers. Thanks to the school letting us have a facility. You know, it was set up for 30 or 40 kids, and now we're up to 100. So I support the Boys and Girls Club. The city bought the property for the soccer fields. We're down there helping them mow it. We're always trying to do everything we can for the Boys and Girls Club, and hopefully that will continue with who is mayor.
For 29 years, UPS has been very active and very supportive of United Way. United Way gives and donates to the Boys and Girls Club. I want to thank Ricky Scott for doing such a tremendous job with what he has to work with. Yes, they could use more money. I'd be looking at everything I possibly could to try to get Rick more money for our kids.
All right, so we got 3 minutes for closing statements.
For each one of them?
Each one of you can have 3 minutes for closing statements.
All right. I believe that the questions that were asked tonight are pretty broad in spectrum. They've given you an idea of what I believe I can do for Booneville, how strongly I feel about Booneville. I believe in Booneville more than anything in the world. I came back to this town after traveling the world. I brought a lot of experience back, a lot of places that I've been. And I've got a lot of ideas that I believe will be of benefit to Booneville. I want to have an opportunity to use those ideas. As a city councilman, I was only able to do so much, and people were coming to me and asking me, and that's why I ran for city council in the first place. I wanted to be able to help. And after I was elected to city council, I realized the extent of my responsibility was working on the ordinances and the law, and pretty much that was it. And that's why I pulled the ordinances out and we started doing a revamp on those. We rewrote most of them to benefit the toolbox the mayor can use in order to work on Booneville and effectively take care of Booneville. Fair and impartial. When I was a police officer here, people remember me being fair and impartial. I've always been that way. What's good for one is good for the next, and I don't play favorites with anybody about any of it. And I would continue to do that. I've talked to people that have multiple properties in this town that need attention. They don't like to be singled out with the letters. They want it to be the neighbor next to their property that's just as bad, but they don't get a letter. I think it needs to go beyond letters. Letters work up to a point just to let people know, but the ordinances are there to take you beyond the letters, to take these people in and get them accountable. I don't think that it'll take more than a year of consistently working with the people in the city of Booneville before everybody sets up and takes pride in their neighborhood, pride in what they own and as it is. A lot of people don't live here that own this property that needs to be attended to out there, but we certainly don't need to fix it for them and then have them sell it, take the money and leave, and we're sitting there holding the bill for it. So we've addressed in the ordinances. We can attach a lien to the property, or we can attach it to personal property taxes so that the city doesn't continue to lose in the long run. The drugs, I'm serious about the drugs. I do not tolerate that. I know that we talk about celebrate recovery and all this, but the recidivist rate is so high in these people that the recovery is so infinitesimal to what we want in this town. We don't want the drugs. We don't want the people here. We want them gone. So that's what I will work very hard on, taking care of that.
Okay, the last 15 years, I've probably seen it all, from going from the bottom, and we're working our way back to the top. So we're on the mend, we're doing better, our sales tax is coming up, everything's getting better. We do have the bad housing, we do have the grown-up yards. There's no use for me to stand here and tell you. But if we are continuing, we are going to continue to make progress. We just have to take it a little bit at a time. And I think I am the best person to lead us. I took us from the bottom, basically the bottom, up to where we're at now. These other guys are very good friends of mine, and I think when politics is done here in this community, we do it the way it's supposed to be. regardless of who wins here, we're gonna be just as good of friends the day after the election as it was the day before, because that's the kind of people we are, and we're all vying to be mayor of Booneville. Thank you.
I just want a cleaner, safer, better place to call home. I want 4 years of your time. You can elect any one of us up here, and as an individual, we can't do anything. We're going to be coming to you. I'm going to be coming to you. I'm going to be going out into our community, house to house. I can talk the ears off of a wooden Indian. Give me 4 years. I want to go out into the public. I want to visit with the people. I want the properties cleaned up. We can do it. We can do it. Not me. We can do this together. And I know it. Safer. I want our cops to have any and all training that they can possibly get their hands on. I want them to be visible in our community. Like I said, I don't want them to be afraid to go in the community. I don't want you as a citizen of Booneville, Arkansas, to be afraid to approach any one of them. Be approachable. Talk to them. Visit with them. If you've got a concern, call City Hall. State that concern. Let's get those concerns taken care of. 4 years is all I'm asking for a cleaner, safer, better place to call home.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Rotary Club for having us all out here tonight, and I'd like to thank you people for spending your time out here tonight. And I'm kind of like Jerry and Bobby. All 4 of us will work as your mayor. But I think that I will work harder, and I'm a better salesman, and Booneville needs a hard-working salesman to promote a better Booneville. Thank y'all.
Let's give them all a hand. We have desserts in here. We want you all to mix and mingle, have time to visit. We also, there's a donation jar in there for our Rotary Scholarship Fund. Every dollar that you put in that dish will go to some local student to help them go to college. So any help that you want with that, we would be glad to have your help with that. Thank you all for coming out.
Good job, guys.